Hello! Welcome to a playthrough of Fate, the Cursed King. Or, I guess you could call it Fate 4, as it is the fourth game in the series. Although that is debatable, as games 2 and 3 are so similar that you might as well not even play 2 and just play 3. Now, I already have a few characters started in this game, and I do have a partial playthrough of the first game, but this fourth game is quite a bit different. They added a lot to this. I'm just going to be playing on the default difficulty, and there is a hardcore, which is permadeath, I believe, but we're going to be ignoring that. Maybe someday. One of the nice things is how you can customize your character quite a bit. You even have random names, which is pretty cool. One of the new things from the first game to this game is that you can change your race, actually. Now you can go from human to shadow elf, which are good at using bows and magic. Half-orcs, which are good at using clubs, hammers, and I think swords. Coggers, which are tanks. They have like high defense, high vitality, I think, and also a little bit of magic, but I'm not sure. And Imps. Imps are the newest one from this game. All the previous races are in Fate 3. Imps are new. We're gonna be playing an Imp. And also humans, I forgot to mention. They're good at everything, but they have some bonus stuff in staves and spears, I think. But Imps also have bonuses in spears. Imps have really high agility, good at magic, I think, and they're really good at spears. They have really high agility. I think they're good at magic. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm gonna pick a random name here. Something that isn't silly sounding. That's not so bad. Then we have, all these different customization options for how you look, which is pretty cool. Kind of like the default one. You have different face styles too. That does not match the rest of his body. But nice try. I think I'll use the default one for that too. Usually the default looks the best. You can change your pet as well. You start with a dog, but you can also get a cat, a boar, a fox, a drone robot thing, and a phoenix. And each one corresponds to the different races other than... oh, and whatever this thing is. The dog and cat are both human. The boar is an orc pet. The fox is definitely a shadow elf, and the drone's definitely the cogger. The phoenix is... like... I guess it could be imp. But so could the strider thing, which looks like a frog. I'm gonna go with cat, because I like cats.
There is a crumbling well near the edge of town, where traveling merchants make their camps. As a child, you sat among them, enthralled by their songs and stories of noble heroes from faraway lands. These tales of great warriors and still greater deeds filled your heart with fire, and after every story, you resolved that the champion of Grove would someday hear tales about you.
So the Champion of Grove is the guy from the first game that you played as, whoever and whatever he looked like. You can also import characters from previous games, although getting characters from the very first game is a little bit difficult because modern PCs and file structure and stuff.
Now, eager for adventure and the chance to hone your skills, you have strayed far from the safety of city walls. Seeking shade and cool water, you spot a narrow opening in the rock face, where a recent tremor has exposed a small cave. Upon entering the gloom, a faint glimmer draws you deeper down the passage. Your eyes adjust to reveal a very large old chest. There are glyphs upon the side, but you cannot make them out.
So this setup is really similar to Trader's Soul.
Curious, you push against the heavy lid. At a hand's width open, the skin on your arms prickles in warning, but only when the lid crashes to the ground do you realize the gravity of your mistake. You have unsealed a tomb. A pale green vapor billows up to engulf you, and within seconds, the mists coalesce into a familiar shape. Once a man, perhaps, now twisted and evil beyond your imagining. Stories of heroes are never without villains, but the evil of Takala is described only in whispers. A necromantic priest, power-hungry and cruel, he was executed by the king when his treachery was discovered. The spirit does not speak, but a single thought fills the void: vengeance. Then, with little more than a low, rumbling groan, Takala is gone. Recovering your senses, you race from the cave. You must warn the town. You must warn the king. Moments later, a deafening explosion rips through the air. Your home, the once proud, beautiful city of Ekbatan, lies in ruins. Enormous black rocks, disgorged from the earth, have smashed through walls and set fire to shops. Shining white columns have snapped like fresh reeds, their golden caps crushed against the rubble. The air is thick with dust and smoke, and worse still, it vibrates with a strange sighing buzz. Locusts, horrible and devouring. The focus of Takala's wrath must be the king. Find him and his advisors, and you will find a way to right this wrong. You must stop Takala and break the curse. For the hero of Ekbatan, there is no other fate.
So, pretty simple story. We accidentally did some tomb raiding and released a curse upon the entire town. Again, it's kind of similar to one of the earlier games where you get tricked into releasing a curse upon many different realms.
Your journey has begun.
So, this game is very Diablo-like. It's a point and click. I like to call these monster clickers. I'm gonna close that. Here's the king.
Yesterday I sat upon a gilded throne, ruling all that you see as the mighty king of Ekbatan. I speak to you now as nothing more than a lowly beggar. You must lift this curse, if not for me, then for my kingdom. Redeem yourself and restore our glorious city.
So one of the cool things about this game is that almost everything is voice acted. Now, I said imps start with really good spear skill and fireball spells, or magic. I'm gonna go over the stats real quick. So you have your attributes and your stats. for skills. And you can see that we start with decent starting attributes. These are really good for the beginning of the game, but this game's also quite long, so I guess it makes sense. Us starting in stats over here, or skills, that's actually something new. Well, it was in 2 and 3, but it wasn't in 1. So we have crit, spellcasting, attack magic, charm magic, and spear. So yeah, we do have some magic skill. Now, there's a reason why I picked Imp, and there's a reason why I want spears, is because in this game, spears are really fast. I'm gonna quickly learn this spell here. So, this game is very familiar with similar with the previous ones. This is our town of sorts. I can bring up the map. We have all sorts of different NPCs that we can talk to.
Keep the weapon.
These are our disenchanters. You can find weapons with sockets and add gems to those sockets, and you can take it to these two people to either destroy the weapon and keep the gems, or vice versa. These are quest NPCs, but they're not that important yet. Something that's new in this game is being able to recruit followers, and you can actually, I believe, these are some starter ones, and I think this guy is one of my save files, which is cool that you can get save files to join you in the game.
Enchantments cast here.
And this guy, talk to him and you can get a random enchantment. We'll go over that eventually. One of the cool things about this game, way back when it came out, was it actually had Facebook integration, which is bizarre, but what you would do is you would link this game up with your Facebook, and you could talk to this lady, and anyone who was your friend on Facebook who also had this game and did the same thing, you would find their characters here. Unfortunately, that service is long defunct, so that will never... we won't get to experience that. But for now, we'll just play the game as is. We have some shops that we can pick from. This is a magic shop. It's okay. Jewelry, which is something rather new in this. I think it was in the previous 2, but not in the first. This is the gambling shop where you can kinda RNG if something's enchanted. He'll sell you it at a really high price. I think there's something similar in Diablo 2 actually. And just the regular equipment shop. So this guy sells some pretty good stuff to start with. And fishing is still in the game as well, in case if you missed that from the first game. So I'll go ahead and buy some armor.
I see you.
Another thing that's new is the fate cards. I think that was in previous games, as in 3. But it's used a lot more in this one. Fate cards are a lot more common.
Here.
And then there's a healer. Works for free. There should be a regular shop somewhere. What's this? Okay, I don't remember what that is for. Talk to this guy to get your first quest.
The Hermit of Awaji knows what's what, but what's left of him is... I don't know where. But I do know what the great fire Jinn enjoys for lunch. Mushroom kebabs!
You have received the task.
What a weird riddle. Ah, here's our general store. So this guy sells basically a little bit of everything. And you can actually find this guy down in the dungeon. Let's see.
Well, I've got a job for you, hero.
So,
You have received the task.
I guess we actually do get a quest to start with. I completely thought that was gonna happen later. This dungeon, I think it's like the final dungeon, but it scales really hard, so you're not gonna be getting very far in here. Also, there's training dummies. I completely forgot about that. Yeah. So we start with this dungeon, Cavern of Living Fire, and obviously it's fire themed. We have a quest where we have to go and kill the Djinn of Fire. We'll start with some pretty familiar enemies. Bats, snakes, I guess the locusts are kind of new. The snakes might be new as well. We also pick up keys, kind of similar to Diablo 2, and brand new to this game entirely, I believe. We also have a cape slot, just like the previous game. Definitely wasn't in the first. This quest that I picked up, this one, is somewhat different from regular quests. Instead of killing monsters, you're supposed to find, I guess, pet monsters, kinda. And that's what those green dots were on the map. This game also has something new where you might see
You are exhausted.
orbs on the ground that drop. Like this. Those are basically just free health. Kind of a neat thing that they added. It always bothered me that you see like decoration in the dungeons, like crystals and chests of stuff, but you can't interact with them. But, I guess it's just dungeon decor. So yeah, the start of the game is pretty slow. But the build that I have planned out, which is a classic by the way, this game can get pretty difficult even on a low difficulty like this. So the build that I have planned out is to make use of dual wield, crit, and spears. See, not only are spears fast, but they also have a high crit rate, I believe. They have reach, and dual wielding just lets you attack faster, so your DPS goes up way higher than usual. I'm actually gonna hold on to this and change it into my quick slot here. There we go. Stamina potions like that are very useful early on. Let's see. 8 armor. Not good enough. We still have one more rat to go find. Must be over here.
You are exhausted.
Sometimes these dungeon layouts, which are procedurally generated, of course. Actually, no. Oh, yes. There's a list
Quest
of
is completed.
different variations, but there's so many variations. I can only assume that they were procedurally generated.
You have gained in experience and skill.
But I do believe it's possible to come across the same variation twice. Just very, very uncommon. Oops. Yeah, sometimes my internet disconnects like that. First thing that we want is probably to increase our spear skill. And put points in dexterity. Why? Because it increases our hit chance, and I like to be able to hit things. Don't like it when I swing my weapon and it looks like I hit something and I miss. Also, there's enemies that have a pretty high dodge chance, so we definitely don't want to get screwed over like that. Anyway, let's turn in that quest for some free XP. I think I'll keep this first episode pretty short.
I've got.
So, nice little amount of cash. The early game gold doesn't really matter, but I guess it does help. Really, you want things like books and stuff, and spells. But we can't afford anything right now. Very nice. Get a bit of XP. And now that the game registers that we have access to this dungeon, because we picked up the quest from this guy, now we can pick up quests from some of these extra NPCs here.
I didn't do it! You've gotta believe me!
You have received a task.
Why don't we make an...
You have received a task.
So you can pick up 3 quests per area.
Help me, huh?
You have received a task.
And every time you delve into the dungeon, the variation's supposed to change at some point. Although I think that's on save and reload. Or if you go really far down in the dungeon and come all the way back up. But that's why we have town portal scrolls, just like in Diablo, so we can get back up faster. Go back down without losing progress. There's one of those locked chests. Typically, locked chests don't actually contain anything interesting over regular chests until way later in the game. Here's our first gem that we picked up. There's a lot more different gems in this game. There's an antidote.
You have gained
Not
an
really that
experience
important,
and skill.
I don't believe. Eventually we're gonna be wanting dual wielding, which of course, without putting points into dual wielding, your dual wielding is less effective than just single hand fighting. And I mean, you also want points in a lot of this stuff early on, but stuff like crits or casting speed or this dual wielding increases exponentially. So these bonuses, like this gives me a whole 1% or 1.1%, but after we put like a whole 20 points, it gets slower and slower. But weapon skills like this spear skill always add 1. And that's good. That's a lot of monsters. And the great thing about the healing orbs that you find is that they automatically pick up when you walk over
Your
them.
pet has grown more skilled.
I don't remember if gold is like that too. We haven't really found a lot of gold laying on the ground. Not like in Fate 1. Fate 1 would have had lots of gold by now. And this isn't a required level, but I do kind of want to go through it a little bit so I can get some XP. Because we don't want to be under-leveled for later floors. It's pretty good that we get a spell. And that's a pretty nice spell at that. So I'm gonna
you have learned a new spell.
Magic's a little bit weak, but it's better than the other games. I think... actually I don't know how magic works in effectiveness. Because I rarely ever use magic for combat. I know stuff like buffing spells, I try to ignore that. Except for stuff like this stamina spell, really useful for running through dungeons. So that's actually pretty nice that I picked that up.
You have been granted new skills.
I know magic can get pretty good once you get your casting speed really fast. Especially since there's ways to reduce how much mana stuff costs, I think. And there's also spells that home in on enemies, so that's pretty good. Picked up a spear. It does have a max damage that's higher than the trident, so we do want to use that. Which is a bit odd, because in previous games, tridents are more effective than spears, have higher stats and stuff. There's a few remix stats in this. There's a good bit of new pieces of equipment as well, and the max stats go way higher than they could before. There used to be a level cap of some sort. Now,
your pet has grown more skilled.
There's not really a level cap, which is great. We just picked up a fate card, so we'll gotta hold on to that. Usually with fate cards you want to have ones that are similar to each other, or ones that are different colors. That short dagger is pretty new. There's a healing
triggered
fountain.
a trap.
So there is a quest in here somewhere. Taking a lot of damage. I could also consider using shields over dual wielding. Shields have a chance to negate damage completely and are pretty good. There's one of our targets. Special unique monster that has different resistances and it has a randomly generated name. He didn't drop anything
you have
cool.
Completed the quest.
I like these new octopus enemies. Should probably put some points in here. Defense. Yeah, we want agility because the more agility we get, the more defense we get, and the more that we can dodge. So you can dodge attacks, and you can block attacks. So if you want to run a full tank, you want high agility, and you want high shield. So that's a good amount to leave the spear skill for now. Let's try and get some crit, so that way I'm attacking really fast. Should be a way to attack like a fast rate. Is it dual wielding? I thought there was a skill that increased my attack rate.
You have gained in experience and skill.
So let's identify this ring we got.
Your pet is fleeing.
Magic and shield bonus. Not really what we want. I'm gonna try and die as little as possible, because dying is quite the punishment. You can either lose gold or XP, and we don't want to lose either, so yeah. Of course you can't straight up lose levels, but if it works the same way that it did in the first game, you can actually get under XP. And then it takes a long time to catch up. Of course, the first game's pretty easy, so... We have a socketed spear, and I see that we got a shield. Let's try dual wielding.
Your pet has fled.
Maybe there aren't that many negatives for dual wielding like I thought. And the best thing about our pet is that they can carry whatever that we want them to. So all of our loot we can make them hold on to, and we have space for more. We can also send them up to go sell stuff at a discount. But it is free, and we can do it a lot. And this, okay. So gold glow like this, as you can see, this ring is purple. This is gold, and then there's going to be green glow items. The purples are usually just magic,
Your pet has returned.
or on items that have minor enchantments like this. Green will have a lot of enchantments, and then gold, like this, will have very unique properties. They're actually not one of a kind like the greens, but they are specifically designed, I guess you could say. I don't want to die here, but I'm getting pretty close. And I just chugged all my healing potions. Probably not the best decision. I think I could have lived through that, but better safe than sorry. Nice, and we even got a quiver. Definitely gonna equip that. You can still equip stuff over, if they're enchanted and you don't have them identified, but they might have negative effects that you're not aware of.
Your pet has increased in power.
Of course, these gold items will always have the same effects on them, so you can usually use that to determine what they are, or you can memorize them or stuff like that. Now this guy, this penguin bro, you can find them in dungeons like this.
Delicious, nutritious fish for sale.
Exactly what the penguin said. He sells fish. Now, we could fish some fish ourselves, but it's slow and sucks. Although, it is a good bit of cash if you really want, because you can get some artifacts from it. The best part about buying fish is that sometimes these fish will have... Well, first I should explain what the fish do. Fish transforms your pet. Gives them different stats, might give them different magic attacks, stuff like that. Some of these fish can form permanently, like these. Some of them only do it for a certain amount of time. Usually I don't like doing the temporary ones. If I want to transform my pet, I want to do it permanently. Unfortunately, they are quite expensive to buy from this guy.
You have sprung the trap.
So later we'll be able to do that. They do get cheaper because we start getting tons of cash. You might start relying on your pet early on, because I know the pet is quite strong and levels up. Doesn't have to worry about magic or equipment or anything. So naturally your pet gets pretty good. Later on though, your pet falls off really hard, so don't rely on it too much, or don't get used to it. I don't think they ever fixed that in this game. I think your pet eventually falls off in this too. And the fish are kinda there to mitigate that.
You have triggered a trap.
But they're definitely only a temporary solution. Because you and your equipment scale way harder than your pet ever could.
You have been granted new skills.
Nice. I think we can move on to the next floor, which will have a couple quests for us. I should probably be putting some points into strength. The reason is, even though I don't really need the damage buff, but we do need strength for most equipment. Probably also put some points into dual wield so I'm not so useless. Now, if my attack speed does not increase through levels, there are gems that we can get a hold of that will increase attack speed. I know that for sure. Nice. I always like to see crits go off.
Your pet has fled.
Oh, big horde of enemies. These snail guys are pretty annoying. They can stun you, and I say stun in quotes because they don't actually stun you. What they do is they slow down your... Oh shoot, they do stun you.
Your health is dangerously low.
Uh-oh. Ah.
You
Well,
have fallen.
This is what happens when you die.
Choose your fate.
Just like in the first game. We can either go up 3 levels, but all my gold loot gets dropped. Not the worst outcome. We don't really lose anything. Our gold doesn't despawn or anything like that. We can heal or spend some gold. Or we can heal and lose XP. I'm gonna go with the XP. Actually, no, let's go with the... Nope, this brings us up a couple levels too. Yeah, I'll go with the
Choice
XP.
is made.
It's not that big of a setback.
Your pet pet has fled.
See, this tortoise guy has some knockback that he can apply to us. It's pretty rough.
A trap has been sprung.
This sword is quite nasty to deal with.
You are overburdened.
Okay. Bow, some weapons. I'd rather identify everything, because there's a chance that it could be really, really good. I'm not going to hold on to this spear for long, and there's no reason to hold on to gems. There's no gem combiner like there is in Diablo 2, so really you should just sell your gems, or socket it into weak weapons that you know you're not going to hold on to.
A new spell has been learned.
Really? I got 2 of the same card. Nice. So that's nowhere near as good as what I got. Oh no, we killed Ant-Man. We're gonna find a lot more Ant-Man. Don't worry about that. There's some other nasty effects that monsters can apply to us, so we're gonna have to watch out for those. Oof, gonna have to hold off on those guys for a bit. Our health does slowly recover over time. Very, very slowly. There is equipment, of course, that we can pick up to speed it up, but not anytime soon. Not unless if we get lucky. I like this.
You have learned a new spell.
I should be using my spells.
Your pet is fleeing.
Fire magic isn't really going to be helping us here. Most of the enemies in this dungeon are fire aspect. If you couldn't guess from the flaming volcanic exterior of this dungeon. Yeah, magic is really good early. I totally forgot about that.
Insufficient mana.
Oops.
You are overburdened.
And yeah, there's earring slots, just like in the previous game. At least I think that was in the previous game. So we get even more equipment that we can deck ourselves out with.
Insufficient mana.
Which comes with sockets and everything. These are easy quests.
Your pet has fled.
The only downside is that they require us to explore a lot of this floor.
Not enough mana.
Gosh, we take a lot of damage. Well, not forever.
fled.
That's a lot of enemies.
Not enough mana.
Oh, I totally forgot about this. So something that I think is brand new in
You are
this.
exhausted.
Oh, we died.
You have died.
Is the special attack where we use up our stamina and do a really big attack. It's pretty good. Ground fire. We can't cast that yet.
You are exhausted.
The best part is that it's AoE. It's everything around us. So those big groups of monsters totally can deal with those. And it gives you a reason to bring stamina potions along. Before you would just only use stamina for running, and it was kind of useless. So that's nice that they added a reason to conserve.
Your pet is fleeing.
I believe we can also cast this crystal crab spell. Which is pretty good.
A trap has been sprung.
I haven't been casting it, but it gives us a bunch of tiny little enemies to help us out. There's a slow spell, that might be a little bit useful.
Your health is dangerously low.
Yeah.
Your pet has fled. You have died.
Fortunately, a lot of our XP is going to be coming from quests. You'll see what I mean once we turn these in. Eventually. And you do have a limit of how much stuff you can have summoned, but it does increase the higher your charm skill is. And, or I think it's both the charm skill and also what monster you're summoning. Don't think you're gonna have mixed monsters. Maybe you can. I just know that you can totally play this game as a monster summoner if you really wanted to, and that's quite a viable way to play the game. Might not be the easiest, but can definitely work. Hear this?
You have learned a new spell.
As slow spell's actually pretty good. And now we got some cool looking spears. Yeah, I could have made my life a whole lot easier if I had used these. We could also consider... Yeah. You have a group heal spell as well. But it's not charm, it's defensive magic. Because...
You are exhausted.
like this is defensive magic, anything that's blue. also quite slow to cast that, but I don't expect us to be casting it in the middle of combat very often like that.
You have completed a quest.
Oh, we got one of those quests completed. We just got the second one to deal with. Could just let my little crab dudes deal with everything. Because they seem to be quite the nasty combatants to these low-level monsters.
Your pet has increased in power.
But trust me, late game, you're gonna want to get like some actual equipment and deal most of the combat yourself. And nice, we ran into a money room. There's rooms like this since the first game where there's just big rooms full of cash. All sorts of chests and nice loot. I think they're a little bit smaller in this game, or not as common.
You are exhausted.
And that guy's got a shiny weapon.
You cannot carry anymore. You have been granted new skills.
That's nice. Whenever you see something that says stamina recovery or health recovery, that actually is referring to like per second.
You have completed a quest.
Nice. Oh, I don't want to go back yet. I spotted a few rooms that have some nice equipment in it that I want to check. There's one over here. This seems to have a lot of stuff. I think a pitchfork should be better than what we got for our spears. Unfortunately, we can't open any of these chests because no keys. You do end up carrying a lot of keys on you. And probably will open up a lot of chests out of habit that you didn't want to. That's it? Oh yeah, that's twice as good. Maybe. Anyway, let's return to town finally. Oh. Right, another thing you can do in this game is weapon sets, and you can change the weapon sets at will, actually. Pretty good if you want to use both range and melee.
Your notoriety has grown.
So our fame level increased. That's this part down here. And the level's up here. Fame's pretty important. Gets you more skill than a regular level would, and it also increases your luck, basically. Your luck when using the enchanter, your luck when opening boxes and stuff, I think. Overall, it's just good to have a high fame, and you can actually increase it by paying an NPC in town a huge amount of cash, and he'll increase your fame. So let's see. Should be another NPC that I took a quest from. Somewhere over here.
I've got a job for you, hero.
You have received the task.
Okay. Sell off some of our useless stuff. Here's one of those green items that we got as a quest reward. You see it has a variety of enchantments and has a nice name to it too. We don't need it, we don't use clubs, so I'm gonna sell it. I will take this book though. So, lightsaber, increase the damage dealt. Obviously the name is a take on lightsaber, like the Star Wars thing. But there's actually a bunch of equipment that have the light prefix that are yellow like that, so I'm not too sure if that's actually the case. Damage dealt. Well, that's basically nothing, but sure. Don't need any of this stuff. It does have a nice spear that we can get though. I guess I can sell this and buy this nice spear. What else? Got a lot of stuff in here that I can enchant or identify. And we can shop directly with our pet as well. Skull Thud. That one's pretty common. That one's cursed. You can see the damage dealt and vitality penalties. Pretty taxing. I believe this'll give us punch. Yep. Good enchantment. Let's see.
Sparkling gems and
This guy sells stuff that we should have bought earlier. General store, kinda.
I can make you famous.
Here's the NPC that
Your
increases
notoriety
fame.
has grown.
I'm gonna go ahead and take that because higher fame, faster, the better. Definitely put some points into dual wielding because that's the route we're going down.
to be honest,
You have received the task.
Let's see.
Welcome.
Don't remember what that NPC does.
Fine.
Nice spear. I'll take that. That's way stronger than what we got. Of course, you want your main hand spear or weapon to be the stronger one, as you do the most damage with that. We don't really need to spend that much money on anything else.
You must.
Not really anything we can gamble on. I mean, I guess we could buy these boots, but that's kinda a lot of money. Let's try the belt. Nice. So that was very worth it. Attack bonus, the magic bonus, and the knockback's nice too. So let's sell this belt. So we have a whole ton of points in magic.
Magicalite!
I thought there was a guy who can identify stuff here. Maybe that's the king? I'm not sure. Where's that quest that we had? This one. There he is.
Your pet has increased in power.
Pretty good. Let's go pick up another quest before I end it. This episode is kind of an introduction episode. So yeah, I mean next time we'll probably spend a lot more time in the dungeon. It'll be a lot longer. This was just a good, quick introduction. So yeah, see you next time. So, bye.